So this is my good friend Ty Shane. Um, we met because my VA at the time added him and suggested friends. Then we started talking, which is a strategy I recommend you guys. But then we became friends, and then did a podcast. Started hanging out more. He's visited me a few times now in St. Pete, and yeah, you just honestly, I think the best things in life that have ever happened to me came from Facebook. Just a little side note, but dude, Ty, you're freaking awesome, man. Huge surprise to meet you and just hear your story and get to be connected with you. And yeah, like this is a really special call, because you guys have probably seen Ty in my content and you've all already met Yogi. Could we drop, oh Marianne, could we drop a notification and tag everybody in Discord to get them all here? Thank you. You probably already did, but yeah. So yeah, I invited him and Yogi over because they're the most two inspirational people I know. Just considering what they've overcome and their life circumstances and their path and projection of where they're going. And so Ty like should not like be here right now, really. Like he could have easily been dead or incarcerated, so and he's absolutely crushing it for his clients and getting great results. And he's also chosen to pursue more of the spiritual work with me on the side, which has been trippy. And so it's a with a warm welcome, I'd like to introduce you all to Mr. Ty Shane, the cold email gangster.
I need the music now. I need the music and the walk on. Hey, everybody. So it's a pleasure to be here. First of all, I'm just going to drop this down in the link. So I can only cover so much. And if you guys want to use cold email, I've made a free link to the course. So like you guys can take that complimentary. Christian's awesome. And you guys are all awesome. So if you guys want to take advantage of that, I'm just saying it's free. Click it, get it. It's in WAP. And then at the end of my presentation, I have a QR code and it's going to take you to a custom GPT. And it literally walks you through everything from getting your domains to setting up your instantly to, setting up emails in the most cost effective without being detrimental to the quality of your deliverability way. And so if you want to use cold email, I'm trying to make it as simple as possible for you guys to be able to jump in and utilize that. And so let me share my screen and get going here. And once again, thank you, Christian. It's a pleasure to be here with your
Yeah, of
community.
course. Wait, let me just like pre-frame this a little bit more like harder than I just did. So, yeah, we're covering cold email in its regard, and it is actually a really powerful tool for getting clients. And also, Ty was just in and out of prison for 11 years and part of the foster care system, and he has, it's just like he was delivered a shorthand of cards in life in a lot of ways. But he made the best of it, and so he survived all the mayhem he went through 11 years being addicted to a bunch of stuff and pulling himself out of it, getting sober, meeting people like me, surrounding himself with the best, and ultimately having some really high months. Like I believe he hit 20K a month, like at one point. And so it's just super inspiring and I feel honored to, be in his journey. So let's get it.
Let's go. Okay. Let me get this going. Okay. Boom. So mastering cold email, guys, and I'm going to go through too. I'm going to show you examples of like full AI, partial AI, and then not AI. So you're going to see like different winning case studies or winning sets of copy. So I want you guys to really understand there's not one way to do cold email. There's like the principles always work. AI just increases the efficiency, increases your ability to be thorough. And as you guys know, understanding the client, their problems, and timing is a pretty important factor in conversions. And so the AI aspect that I'm going to be covering in this is going to include kind of, you'll see why yeah, as I go. So first of all, guys, I just want everyone is here for a reason. You're in Christian's program for a reason. Listen, job markets ain't going to be getting any better, guys. So like, you got to take the bull by the horns and you got to take control. So that top line is the investor and market movement, and that bottom line is job opportunities. Okay, so I mean, we can all play the math game here. Where's this going to be in 10 years? So like, now is the time to take control of your future because the markets are betting against everybody right now. Jeff Bezos just raised like $6.2 billion to basically take out engineers. So like, he hired 100 engineers, got 6.2 billion. Is like, hey, we're going to AIify and automate and use robotics to do what engineers have been doing. And so like, all I'm saying is, without any, just an idea, he pulled $6.2 billion. So stick with what you're doing, because it's kind of bleak on the other side in 10, 20 years. So just a reminder, guys, as Christian, shared with you, I mean, I'm just gonna show you this part. When I first jumped in, I failed. I failed miserably. I ended up in the homeless shelter. I saved 10K for my 9 to 5. I was working 70-hour weeks, but I kept going. And so that's just the key. Is it's not, if it was easy, everyone would have it, and everybody would not be working at 9 to 5, and they wouldn't be trying. I mean, I'm just saying, everyone's trying to get out, but how many actually get out? And so the differentiating factor is, your resilience and your ability to basically fail, because I mean, all successes are built on failure. Billionaires go bankrupt, all sorts of crazy stuff. So I just want to remind everybody here, because that's an important part of anytime my face shows up anywhere, is don't quit. Don't quit, because then it's all for nothing, you know? And so in cold email, guys, there's basically like there's four core like mechanisms that matter. So deliverability, targeting, offer, and then messaging and relevancy. And we're going to cover those. And so with the AI way in cold email, so basically all four of these are now connected through AI, APIs, and automations. So I don't know if you guys have heard of, I'm going to go through some different tech stacks and stuff that we use in cold emails. I go through the different like frameworks, principles, and some real life examples. Just think of it like this: whatever you would do to go and prospect and identify if a potential prospect was actually a good fit for you, you can reverse engineer all those manual steps back to some sort of an automation. And if you can't even automate all of it, you can bring it all back, at least 90% of it, back to some sort of an automation, some sort of database, or some sort of scraper, some sort of API endpoint, some sort of a database. There's something that you can do. And so I'm going to show you briefly how we do it and how we connect everything using the right software and the right technology. And so cold email, guys, I don't know what your guys' strategies are. It's not just for prospecting, okay? You can create strategic partnerships. Obviously, you guys got websites and you're building authority, backlinks, promotional content. You get affiliates, PR media coverage, you can be on podcasts. So if you want to get more exposure, you can reach out to people and you can ask to be on the podcast with like the win-win kind of a framework. Or you can start a podcast, guys, and you can invite people on your podcast, start creating digital content, start building authority, and start, when people search your name, what comes up? Is it just your Facebook profile, or is it you speaking to, your ICP basically, or other authorities in your space or in marketing, or, whatever that association for you would be to continue building authority through other people and by displaying, your expertise. And basically Christian's giving you guys everything you need. So deliverability crisis right now for cold email. When you're doing mass cold email, basically like as of March this year, it's more important than ever to segment your ESDs of your recipients. So if they have a Microsoft versus a Google, you're going to get literally like an 80% better deliverability rate emailing people with Google Workspace inboxes versus people who have Microsoft 365 inboxes. So Microsoft clamped up And so like I've had clients, I don't know if you guys have experienced this, who I can't even have communication with just normal clients, client communications with. The default Microsoft filters, don't even deliver, or they deliver to spam, just client communication. So in cold email, now you have to understand the actual, ESP of your leads. And so when you validate emails, they'll always have you'll have a like a what would it be like, they'll have metadata of what their MX provider is, and so it will tell you. And so segmenting that and understanding the segmentations of deliverability in that course, I go more into this because it's super important. So guys, take advantage of that while it's there. I charge $600 for it, so like grab it while you can. Um, and so Google to Google is going to deliver better than Google to Microsoft. Okay. Microsoft to Google is not going to deliver as good as Google to Google. And it's just an important concept to understand when, sending out mass emails. So, and once again, this stuff's changing like crazy right now. People are trying to prevent all and this is just an example right here, guys. One reply out of 45 is Microsoft. Everything else is Google and other and SMTP providers. So like we're seeing data in real time. We're seeing and we're experiencing it. I'm segmenting. I'm watching my Google to Googles, have 20% reply rate, 50% positive, while the Microsofts have nothing. Like it's the craziest thing right now. And so we're going to be sending out, like, say you want to work with health companies. I don't know what it is. And you get all the health companies that exist and whatever your flow is after that. You would want to understand, obviously, you want to understand like what ESP these health companies have so you can optimize your infrastructure and your sending pattern to increase the probability of you getting into their inboxes. And so like this is just an example I want to show you guys in real time. Like this campaign, literally only one from a Microsoft inbox reply. So I mean, as you can see, yeah, just wanted to show you guys this. And so that, yeah, Gamma got into that. So understanding email validation as well too, guys. When you're emailing, doing cold email, mass cold email. So this is kind of the mass part. This isn't, we're not to the principles yet. There's going to be two types of validations. So there's going to be valid and then catch-all. And what catch-all means is that they have a configuration in their system that if you make a typo and you still send it to their domain, it will get routed. And so the catch-alls, which I don't understand this myself. For some reason, you would think they would still get the email, but there's like a secondary. So there's like an initial handshake, and then there's a filter after that handshake. And so what these validation softwares will pick up on is that first handshake. But then you'll find out later on there's a whole nother step. That's why there's two services that you have to use. And so this is something like Listkit does. That's why Listkit says triple validation. You guys are familiar with Listkit. They say like triple verification. It's supposedly supposed to have, both of those handshakes. So the catch-all, you have to use a separate provider. So like, say you're just doing your initial scrub of the people you want to email, and that way you can find out what ESP they have, and then find out if their emails are valid. Well, the ones that come back as catch-all, you have to then scrub those again. So you have to use a different provider, because instead of the like zero bounce, million verifier, debounce, I don't know what you guys are familiar with, but those just verification tools, they don't go and make that second handshake. And so the second handshake is done by like separate providers like BounceBand or Scrubby. And so if you send emails to those catch-alls, you're going to get a really high bounce rate. And so most people will do is they'll just skip those catch-alls because they don't want to pay the extra money to do that second handshake with the catch-alls. And so it's just an opportunity for a competitive advantage to get into inboxes that you can probably assume most of anyone else emailing are just skipping over. They're just trying to be fast, save money. And so this right here, first scrub, 3,272. After the second one, we had another 2,500, which theoretically most competitors are going to not even scrub or email. And so instead of it just being 3,200 leads, it's 5,800. So this is just an important concept to understand on how to get the most out of your list, especially if who you would be wanting to email is a smaller, a smaller TAM. So if you have a smaller TAM and it's really niche and specific, you want to juice as much of it out, as much out of that list as you possibly can. And so the massive cold email, guys, um, one domain, 3 email addresses, and then that's up to 60 cold emails a day. So think of it like this: every domain with 3 email addresses, the max is going to be 60 emails. And if you have 34 domains, which is what we always suggest, I'm not saying go out there and build this massive system for what you guys are doing. Maybe you just take what we're about to go over and just do it on a more manual scale. I don't know how this fits into your guys' strategy specifically based on how you identify who needs email marketing. But by the end of this, you'll have an idea of what that might look like for you. Then you'd be able to send 2,000 emails a day. And what's really important to understand is it takes 1,000 leads to validate a concept or to validate a test. So the reason that I say to build bigger is because you can validate 2 things in one day. If you have a smaller one and you're emailing a huge list, and say you can only send 300 emails a day, it's going to take you 4 days just to do one test. Like, how long is it going to take you to get to the finish line? Like, it's going to take you forever to dial in those campaigns, dial in your offer, dial in your value proposition, dial in your positioning, dialing in, maybe there's signals that you're testing out to see which one converts better. The signals are the things associated with the business or the lead that tell you that they might be a more probable fit for the problem that you're solving, which could be a simple, yeah, I'll run into those later. I want to get ahead of myself. So this is just the math, guys, so you guys understand how that works. So offers, and I think it's this next one. Okay, yeah. So offers, the whole goal is low perceived risk, high perceived value. And the best way to look at it when I have discussions with clients is, does this at least scare you a little bit? Like, I'm just saying, is it going to be a little bit of time you're going to have to invest? Is it like a product or a service or just something that, I mean, if you were selling to a warm audience, you wouldn't necessarily have to, put your neck out there as much. And I'll go into what that looks like in some of these next ones. But how do I say this? We're in a trust recession, guys, and I think I have a slide coming up. Hold on, I'm going ahead. I put it way ahead. Yeah, okay. There you go, guys. Giving me a sneak peek. So we are in a trust recession, so I'll just repeat myself. So buyer trust is at an all-time low. And so just something to be mindful of. And another way to look at it is, what can you do that, and like imagine everyone in your class right now is cold emailing the same company. How do you make your offer and how do you make yourself stand out? And how do you make the value proposition you are providing better, more appealing than everyone else in your class? So that's kind of a way to look at it. And how can you come at them differently? If you all come in with the same front end, offer, I'm just saying, like, that's the desensitization that happens from, just like the DMs you guys get where it's like, hey, I can get you 20 to 30 calls. You want to meet? But then you see 100 people say, I can get you 20 to 30 calls. And like, everyone can't get me 20 to 30 calls. And so the offer doesn't hit as much. And so just something to be mindful of. And we'll go into a little bit more on that later, because you guys have a lot of social proof and other things that you can associate to build that up on. And so your offer, think of it as like case studies, product, service, or tools. And so what would they usually have to pay for? How can you use that as value? And then how can you sell them shit? So lead with value, then sell them. And so as we're in vibe coding world right now, I was did a little research on like what you guys could possibly do. Like, what is something you could vibe code that would take you 20 minutes that would potentially solve a small micro problem that these companies have. Maybe it's some sort of analytics relating to their list and segmentations of their list. Like something like they run your list through this and it will segment and identify things. I don't know what that would be, but that's kind of the new age of creating offers and those lead magnets. So instead of ebooks, instead of, really even case studies anymore, it's now kind of turning into, micro SaaS and, different like service slash product, variations of actual offer. So think of like magnetic marketing. In this next video, I'm going to show you exactly what I mean when I talk about like the tool, service, product case studies. So this generated, they closed 50K, over 50K in deals, and they didn't even lead with what they sell. Okay, so this is the campaign that we ran, and it's an 8-minute video, and I'm just going to play it out, and let me know if you can hear the sound. Can you hear the sound?
No, I don't hear
No.
anything.
Yeah, that's not going to work. Let me see this volume.
You can share your screen for that exact tab and it'll work.
I'll do that. Okay. That. There we go. Perfect. Okay. You hear that?
No.
Okay, it's not working. So I'll just go back to the Miro board. Okay. Just let me go back. Oh man, I fumbled right here, guys. I thought this would work. Okay, so basically what we did here is let me just appreciate you guys. Upload. Things go wrong.
Vaughn had a suggestion in the chat for how to make the sound work.
Oh, what is it?
Yay. Thank you, Vaughn. So helpful.
He says you'll have to unshare and then reshare with sound.
Okay.
My man.
When you click
All
share
right,
at the
problem
bottom,
solved.
it'll say share with sound. So just click that checkbox, you'll be good to go.
Boom. Share sound. Boom. All right. You've been through this problem before. Thank you. So the stuff you're learning, obviously, in the basic form, it works as well. When you use AI, it's okay. Perfect.
Yep, all good.
Awesome. So I'll play this for you guys really quick. Okay. So we like what your email looks like, what makes it good, the copy. This is AI generated. So the stuff you're learning, obviously, in the basic forms, it works as well. When you use AI, it hits different because like it's not just offer based. It's literally like, hey, someone took time, they took effort, they did research, they positioned themselves based on that research, the time they spent. So there's a different like reciprocity mechanism to it versus just straight offer. And so I'm gonna break this down for you guys. So number one, pattern disruption. So this right here. So this first part of that sentence, that's pattern disruption. So they don't know if that's a client, a referral. They don't know if that's a part, like they don't know what that is, but it hacks their positive cognitive biases. So basically, over the years around their business, if they're running a successful business, a good business, if they're doing their role, they're doing their job, they're opening this email every time that they see it. If you hit the inbox, like I'm just saying, like they're going to open this. And so what we did here is we scraped the Google reviews and we used serper.dev. So literally that right here. So you guys have that serper.dev. So that's an API based function to scrape Google reviews of Google Map listings. And so the next thing, so like once again, you don't have to have it in a specific order. Just think of it like, hey, these all need to be there and they need to flow fluidly. And so the second part, let me get us a different color, is social proof. So boom, we had social proof right there. Reminds me of how I recently helped a Florida detailing company 5x in 8 months by attracting top value clientele. Okay, and then obviously, let's see if I can get there we go. And then the problem is right here. So this one's a little bit different. The CTA and the problem are kind of submerged together. So the problem here is basically we know that they're not posting content consistently on social media. There was an identified gap in this market. So this won't work for every market or industry. And this wouldn't necessarily work for every person in your industry because a lot of people have this on lock. The way that we deduced is that if they do have this on lock, they've already kind of got their ducks in a row. If that makes sense. And so the probability of them not having this duck in a row and needing additional services greatly increased. So everybody said yes to this, they need help. And so no commitments needed, just our way of showing you what's possible while keeping your platforms active and engaging. And then we correlated this. Would it be valuable to share our social media strategy automation tool they used? So we connected this as well to the social proof. So you see how this is all stacking together, this and this and this, and then obviously the CTA, then the PS line. So that's just something you just throw in there using other, granular data associated with the lead. Because the whole thing is like, even though this right here is like using the username of the person in the review, like this couldn't be for anybody else because if they go to their Google business profile, they're going to see a review by Shuffle03. So like, I'm just saying, like, when you look at how a lot of people like look at your own cold emails every day, okay, it's a lot of generic garbage. Like, there's a lot of generic, impersonal, templated garbage. So the whole thing about this is it's impossible, number one, up here to necessarily know what it's about, but the positive cognitive biases are going to make it very hard for their brain to say no to clicking it because this could move their business forward. And then now that we've got their attention, boom, we pushed all this in and see how it's all stacking together. And then this right here is another cold email thing. So instead of an opt-out, we just use this. So other than this from Alex Ramosi, okay, it's no secret. If your emails are this, okay, guys, like, listen, if your emails are this personalized, like, you can't, there's like, I'm just saying, like, you can't prove that this was mass produced because it's specific, okay, to the person, and it's just like this, even this professional trustworthy service, like this is mentioned in their actual reviews. So this is what, and see that's value for high, like, see how we're like connecting all this stuff, guys, and how it's all just consistently stacking on one another. And so like all this is pulled from the reviews. This requires from their fold reviews. This is relevancy through outcome, social proof, and then offer. And so Serper.dev is what we used in our play workflow to pull the Google reviews. And then literally all we did from there was give AI the offer, have it generate the copy, and personalize this and send it. And what did we make so far? Over 50K. So I'm just saying, guys, and it's growing. So if 50K has been closed from this, obviously look at the M dash, like look at this, M dash, M dash, M dash, like it's obviously AI generated. But pattern disrupting, it's identifying a problem that's correlated with the social proof that is solved with the CTA. And then what do they do on this? Started with something low-hanging fruit to get their butts in seats. And then what did they do? They upsold them on the call, okay? They upsold them. They were able to ask probing questions. They're able to build familiarity. They're able to lead with value. And then remember, there's only two options. Number one, they're in their ecosystem. They're in their high level. They get to see all the other features, and then they introduce them with just one feature, or they sell them on other services, other packages, okay? So there's no one way to win. You just have to make sure that you're checking. You got to have a clear CTA. Like a confused mind doesn't take action. Social proof, okay? I'm just saying, like, how do you reduce perceived value and reduce perceived risk and increase perceived value? So all this is correlated to that. And that offer, we want to share our social media automation tool they use, no commitments, okay? There's no risk. We removed all risk in this. And so like what this is also called is Dan Kennedy, Magnetic Marketing, okay? It's a really good book, guys. Read it. It's a great psychological, like Dan Kennedy, and then it's Magnetic Marketing. So I'm going to with my thing, magnetic, this is fun. So magnetic marketing. So solving a problem that people are where they have to bring them to the solution that you actually desire to sell. And so we don't care about this, but they do. They know they have it. They see the value in it. They see this up here, social proof. So they see high perceived value, low perceived risk. And then there's pattern disruption. It's a clear problem that we are solving, social proof, and a call to action. And at the bottom, so it looks even more manual, we just can send via Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra 5G and AT&T 5G smartphone. Okay, trick I learned from Alex Ramosi. It's nothing new in the game, guys. And so this is here is 50K. Like I'm just saying, when you look at like cold outbound, this covers years of sending cold emails. This covers years of sending cold email. I'm just saying, like, if you just want to look at the value of everything within it, like all you have to do is send emails, follow these principles, and you can be able to get results. And so, like, literally, like, I'm just saying, we'll get more to the prompting and all those other things. You tell the AI what you need. You give it examples. So it's like, hey, first sentence is pattern disruption with, reason why we're here. We need to make sure that we identify the problem. We need to make sure that we have a value proposition, the social proof, and your call to action. Like, all you have to do and say, hey, we have to do this all in less than 4 sentences. So like, the power of AI prompting is you don't need to be a copywriter. You can bring in other personas. You just have to be able to tell the AI and clearly communicate and articulate what you need. And then from there, you can just add, subtract in your prompt until you get a desired outcome. And this right here is 100% written by AI, okay? 100% written by AI. It's already pulled in over 50K. What more do you want? Like, what more do you want? And so upsell on the call, you get them to say yes. And when somebody says yes, the next yes is exponentially easier to get. And so this is playing on all sorts of different psychological, triggers and frameworks. And so remember before, lead with value, then sell. Lead with value, which is what we did here, then sell. Okay? So God bless. And all right. Okay. So I just wanted to share that because it hopefully it clearly articulates kind of the components of a cold email, and that's fully AI generated. And so this right here is an example of zero AI generated. And one of my own students just closed their first client in 3 weeks, just sending this without AI. So like it all works. And so in this email, our pattern disrupt is a question that a prospect or like a prospect or someone who is interested would use, but it's not clickbaity. So we don't want to clickbait them. We want this first sentence to still be relevant to the problem that we solve. And then we put right here, boom, we just helped a roofing company breathe new life into their dead lead database using AI. They collected 53K in 30 days without door knocking or ad spend. If we did the same risk-free, might you be available for a quick chat this week? And so this is an example of cold email in the most basic form possible without anything fancy, just social proof, speaking to a problem with a pattern of disruption / reason we're there, and then a call to action. And so the caveat on this CTA is basically the whole risk-free. And like from this now, we're optimizing because cold email is constantly an optimization process. Is instead of having to pay thousands of dollars, you pay a smaller deposit, and then once we reach a milestone, which they already reached, then we go into a full-blown contract. And so like top cold emailers right now, like the multi-million-dollar cold email agencies, the way they get clients to cold email is they run free campaigns. Like they have a full arsenal of generic domains that they just forward to these prospects, website, and then they hyper target, who they're going to reach out to, and they hit them with an offer because they know they have good targeting, and they say, hey, we'll get you free leads, and that's how they sign clients. They sign clients like that's how they sign clients through cold email now. So like the world of cold email and your ability to break through the noise is it's obviously your offer is what matters the most, but it has evolved since 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 years ago, and so it's a little bit of a different game. And so that right there is not 100% AI. This right here is partial AI. So this is for investors. This is, finding investors, get them to book meetings and not just accept the debt. And the only AI in this is the notice your investments in eRepublic and Genius SIS. Like I've never read these emails. We have automations that craft all this stuff. And so in this one, it's using AI to do research and understand. So first of all, matching the thesis of the investor using AI before reaching out to them. And then if that matches, then we do research on their portfolio company. And then we pull that information, and then we have AI write this first line. And then the rest of this is just static. As you can tell, it's got M dashes. So we just use basic AI. And this book's 45 investor meetings in just 5 weeks. And what did it is that first line. And that's the pattern disruption / reason why you're there. And so the reason this one booked, what is it, like 3x more meetings than not doing this, is because of the eRepublic and Genius. So we already created the relevancy. We enacted principle of reciprocity because we have to, if you guys go look in your inboxes and if you have cold DMs, you'll see a lot of trash in there. Like just completely generic. People sprayed and prayed it. There's no relevancy. It speaks to everybody and their mother within an industry. And so the whole thing with AI, as I showed you in that past video, and then this one is it amplifies the possibilities because it's less mass and it creates more relevancy through the personalization. Obviously, offer always matters. However, your offer is amplified by everything supporting it before that last line. And so, so this one's no AI, still close the client in 3 weeks. This one is full AI, closed over 50K so far. And it's more than that now. And then this one is partial AI, just to, I'm just saying nobody who isn't doing research at scale can mention companies like this. So when they see this in their inbox, if it's not someone using AI in their cold email, they can't do this, or else they're doing it manually, and they're definitely not reaching out to all the investors we are. So we'll beat them on, volume ratio. And so this is another example, guys. I just want to keep kind of juicing you up. So this one's a little bit older. This one's beginning of this one is mid 2024. So this one's a little bit, this is just to show you the power of social proof. So my client trained Alex Hormozi, Cole Gordon, and a bunch of other big names. And so we name dropped. Like that's what we did. We name dropped. And this thing was, we got people to buy ebooks. We got multi-million-dollar agencies to buy an ebook through cold email. But the reason we were able to do that was because of the social proof and the name dropping. And so I don't know what your guys' ethical limitations are with like extracting from, Christian's social proof with, with his case studies. And I don't know where you guys are at specifically, but if there's an ethical way to connect your value proposition and your lead magnet or whatever it is to grab their attention and get them on a meeting, there's an ethical way to associate it to any other names or to any other, revenues or anything. And so wordsmithing, if you change one word, the entire context changes, as you guys already know. That works really well. Okay, so I don't know what your guys' limitations are with that, but if you can jump into the gray area, especially since you are being mentored and coached and trained by Christian, I don't know where that falls. That will help you break through the noise, because who else can do that? Who else can drop in there and say they can help them? And the way that you're going to help them is associated to all these results and these different case studies. And you're just doing the same thing that was done for them, but you're the one doing it this time for them. So it's like you're an extension. So I don't know where that is with you guys. So I just want to bring that in. And so with cold email now, understanding their ICP at scale, understanding the problem they solve at scale, and understanding the market at scale allows you to reach out to companies at scale as if you had actually manually gone and done research. You had manually gone to their website, you manually gone to whatever products and services they had. You manually went and checked out their social profiles. You manually went and did all these different things. You can automate all this now, and you can use AI to do it. And it comes down to just using the right text. So it's the same thing you guys do for your own clients. It's just done at scale. But instead of writing a bunch of emails, you're just using the same practices to get them to book meetings with you and to capture their attention. And that's using Clay. So cold email now, I don't know why anyone would do it without Clay. It's like NAN and Zapier and Make and Google Sheets had a baby. So that fully AI generated, video I showed you guys that had like the surfer.dev scraping the Google reviews and writing the copy, we use Clay for that. And so it's just like an NAN workflow, just like a make.com workflow. It's just like a Zapier or even a high level workflow, left to right. And instead of modules and nodes and little boxes like Zapier, it's columns. It's got the same capabilities. It can connect to different API endpoints. You can connect to language learning models, and then you can build workflows that become scalable and like rinse and repeat templates. So like that investor one, I'm building a course right now, and all I'm doing is copying my templates and my tables and putting it into a course. I'm like, hey, this thing hits. This thing will book you meetings like crazy if you are trying to book meetings with investors. And so anything you build is, you can rinse and repeat, change a couple variables, change it to a different industry. And so, that's basically what cold email is in 2026. And like, this is an example of, understanding your prospects by using AI to do the research for you. And so this is in Clay. And so like understanding, like if you were to look at this company from, just a generic roofing company, you wouldn't know that they do metal roofing. You wouldn't know, that they have warranties up to 18 years. You wouldn't know that they do emergency tarping / repair. Okay, like you wouldn't know any of these things. You wouldn't know they have 15 plus years combined experience. And so when you do research on your prospects and the people you want to work with and the companies you want to work with, like I'm just saying the positioning. So this is the next step for that non-AI, roofing company one I showed you, where Joey closed his client in 3 weeks. Like this is now the AI version of that. So instead of just being roofing company and just being reactivation campaigns, now we speak to specific, triggers within that company and within their offerings and within, I'm just saying if they have, yeah. So without going like too into detail on that, like this is where cold email is changing and where the generic doesn't work as well as the fine-tuned, more specific. And so it's just super important to understand. You don't have to do like, if you go all do like, how do I say this? If you do this manually, it's going to take you some time. You could still do it. And maybe that's, where you start. I don't know if this is for everyone here. I don't know who you're targeting. I don't know how broad your market is that you can actually work with. But if you have a large one, if you want to work with health companies, you want to work with supplement companies, you want to work with different, brands within an industry, this kind of information right here is what allows you to use AI to position your offer, speak to their pain points, speak to their market, hold competitors, scrape their ads. And I'm just saying, like, you can scrape anything that they have and, position yourself and then have AI fill in different gaps for you to be able to, book meetings by being relevant and specific. So I just want to show you this, like, I'm just saying, like, when you can do this at scale and then AI can write your copy for you. I mean, really creativity is your only limitation. And so in cold email, even you guys, just in any industry, is how do you know someone, can work with you? How do you know the timing is right? How do you know why there's relevancy? And so like maybe someone just got hired as a new CMO in a company you want to work with. Well, your positioning might be different because they're in their first 90 days of a new position. So they have different they have different personal motives for doing certain things to protect their position, to impact the top line. And so these are just how do I say this? Within a list of companies we want to work with, there's going to be segments that are more probable and have better timing than other companies. And so you can find all this stuff out at scale. I mean, you could probably just go to Anthropic and do deep research and say, hey, are there any, whatever position, whatever industry with whatever parameters that was just hired within the last 90 days. You could do it that way as well too. There's also ways to scale that across tens of thousands of companies with a clickable button. And so funding, size of departments, pricing details, company headcount, social signals, digital presence, keywords, reviews, funding stage, revenue, hiring, company news, technology-based, ads-based, promotion-based, acquisition-based, Google Business Signals. Like all this can be done at scale in softwares like Clay. I'm just saying, if you have a list of 1,000 and 10 are just like perfect fits for you, how do you find those perfect fits? Needle in a haystack. So AI technology, so AI APIs and automations help you achieve that. And so this right here is an example of just getting emails and finding Forbes journalists. So getting their emails, and then from there, like, this is just to show you, you can take their own articles and you can scrape their articles and do this at scale, and you can position yourself in a way that makes whatever you're offering relevant to what they've already done. And so this is kind of the first steps on that. And so this one right here is like scraping, LinkedIn posts to be able to position yourself based on people's own words. And so I'm just showing you guys right here, kind of like if you do cold outbound, obviously you stick to the principles. But if you want to scale it and you want to get really granular with your positioning and invoke the principle of reciprocity, like, oh hey, this person actually is reaching out to me. It's not one of these spammy, generic, dumb emails. Let me reply back to him. Or hey, I'm gonna give him a time of day just because it's not a stupid dumb email like all the other ones I got that I know they sent to 10,000 other people. And everyone's getting desensitized to that right now. And so there's an upside now to the little bits of extra effort than there was a year ago. And so this one right here, like we booked so we got the PR team of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of a 9-figure company just by this. And just by this. And so we used AI. So if I zoom in here, so number one, people love to talk about themselves. So like when all else fails, give people a platform to talk about themselves. And in cold outreach, that will break through noise. And so like your unique journey from automotive to medtech finance is rare. Plus, your recent LinkedIn post about Medtronic's mission shows your leadership perspective our readers want to hear. Most CFOs don't get the credit they deserve for driving company vision beyond just numbers. So like this is 100% AI generated. I didn't even see this type of a screenshot. I don't know what these things say. I just kind of review and filter through, to make sure my outputs are kind of how I want. And so this right here is an example of cold outreach using research. So these aren't like necessarily your use cases. I'm trying to diversify the different applications, so you're a little bit more exposed. And then obviously to the software, because anything that can be automated should be, if it can be. And so this one right here is that investor one. So this flow right here, like I'm literally just turning this flow into a course, and I already got people buying it. And this right here, because it books meetings. And all we did was this first line right here is you run research. And so you tell the AI what matters, what you need validated, and what information you want it to output. And so cold email now is less spray and pray, and it's more making sure that there's a relevant fit. And so AI will tell you, and it gave us the names of it did the research on the portfolio company. It found us the best suited to mention. Then it also validated whether or not there was actually, portfolio companies that were relevant. And so I know you guys aren't doing investor outreach. I just want to make sure you kind of see the real use cases of doing, research and having AI do it for you. Because this is 10,000 investors. How long would it have taken to do this manually? You couldn't. Even a team with 10 VAs, 100 VAs, it would have taken them forever to do this. And so this whole thing was built in like an hour. And then boom, went and did 10,000 businesses. And so whoever you're trying to target, you can do that at scale. And you can get information on them at scale. And you can find the perfect fits at scale without having to spend hours and hours and hours doing it, because AI will do it for you. And so we went over this before, but it's basically like sentence one is the reason, and positive cognitive bias. I like to look at it as breaking, hacking their positive cognitive biases and avoiding their negative cognitive biases. So we're in the era of information overload. If you ever get like a like post on Facebook, you're probably expecting a pitch in the DMs. And that's your brain's negative cognitive biases firing in real time. So you have to think of how many emails these prospects get from cold sources. You got the dude from India and the dude from Pakistan who are just sending, I'm not targeting, so it's great people, but I'm just saying, like, you have these really cheap, very like grammatically incorrect cold emails sitting in their inboxes every day. And so like the top 1% of salesmen do what the 99% don't. And so it's the same concept. Like how can you not give their brain an opportunity to like prejudge what your email is going to be about by approaching it different. And so I actually think of sentence one as positive cognitive bias hacking. And then sentence two, three, and four, obviously your CTA goes last, but like sentence two and three can still switch up, but clearly stating the problem and then having the value proposition and the social proof that are then supporting the call to action. So like, it's like the CTA is just a cherry on top, basically, of everything that came before it. But they're not getting it unless they like that cherry. And so, yeah, so this right here is the most basic way to look at cold email, to keep it simple. As long as you check these boxes, you're going to have a good probability of getting somewhere closer to where you want to be. And so cold email isn't one and done. You send out this, this campaign and it's just magically for sure going to work. But the data you get back will tell you, okay? The data you get back will tell you. So if you have a low positive reply rate, well, your offer sucks. You have a high positive, high reply rate, low positive, your offer probably sucks. And you probably go connect that back to your value proposition too. And maybe you're sticking to the wrong problem. And so, yeah, so, and then if your reply rate is less than 1%, you got a deliverability problem. And before you guys like try to pump up your reply rate, I can say, so I have someone right now who's at 1.3% reply rate, but at a low positive. First, focus on the positive, then go pump up the reply rate. And so, for you guys, I just thought of what are some strategies that I know work and are working in real time right now. And so with tools like Vena.ai, I'm sure you've heard of SendSpark. They do the same thing. One's a little bit cheaper, one's a little bit more expensive. But you can create videos at scale and you can send them out at scale. And then like Vena creates a custom landing page with their email in the actual URL. And then you can use like Clay or whatever you want to use to write copy that makes that landing page hyper specific to the prospect. So your video isn't as personalized, but it's just strategically positioned. But then the landing page is hyper personalized. Got their name, whatever custom, content you want, whatever custom headers you want, and you can have that all created by AI. And then the video, you can merge two videos together. And so like the first one would be somehow showing you were looking at something, whether it's a website, an e-commerce store, a social profile page, and then you merge it with your second video and it creates one video, but that second one then is like the backdrop of a Loom video of you guys with your 17-step, profit formula or something that you can then leverage to speak to whatever it is that you're speaking to on that other page. And so I don't know what your guys' specific formula is for that. Can you? Probably to the API. I wouldn't be surprised to the API. That's a good question. Probably minus the video. You definitely could, because you can do like whole presentations and you can have them created specifically. So they reply, say someone replies, and you trigger off the Gamma API and you create a whole presentation that's just hyper specific to that person. And then you shoot the link right back to them. So most definitely could it'd be a little bit different presentation, but I mean, if you can figure it out, I mean, I'm just saying right now, like so many things are possible right now. AI automations and APIs, bro. Like everything is just wild right now. So yeah, so this right here, I don't have your guys' golden silver bullet. This is just a concept that I thought might be useful for you guys to explore. Because there's a lot of different ways to win. And then the micro SaaS. Like right now, if there's something you can create a problem that your prospects have, even if it's Dan Kennedy magnetic marketing. Okay, if you know these coaches have a problem and you can solve it and you can get their butts in the seat on a call, what would that be? Is it related to their email list? Is it not related to their email list? I don't know. But right now, this is where a big shift is happening in lead generation. So like ebooks are dead. Nobody wants to read a really long ebook. So So right now, guys, just really keep this in mind. You go to Lovable, you can print something out really fast, really quick. You can have AI help you ideate what these things would be. But if you lead with that, and every other copywriter is leading with the same thing, and you're actually solving a problem and leading with value, who's probably going to get the meeting? So just something to consider. So
Thanks
we're
so
in a trust
much.
recession,
You're the best.
lead with
Tara.
value. And then just one thing too is sometimes, targeting can be off when you book a meeting and they're not qualified. As you guys already know, always walk away. And then the optimization cycle. So listen, this is why volume matters if you're doing it, because you can optimize 10 times faster. The more emails you have, the faster you can figure out what is actually working. So that's why I say 100 emails minimum usually, but obviously use cases are different. I don't know what you guys' cams are. I didn't know a cold email like this at scale is applicable, to your use cases or your markets based on like things that matter. But volume allows you to test faster. Okay. And then right here, guys, so that's how we were right there at the end. Scan this. Can you see the whole thing? Let me exit. Okay, there we go. If you scan this, I have a GPT, and it just takes you through the domain purchasing process. It ideates all your alternative domains, and then it takes you through the
Yes, thank you.
instantly, and then it takes you through the email address creation with like resellers, so you don't have to pay $7 a pop. You get them for $3. They deliver just as good, and then it creates out a whole file that you just go and upload. So if that is something you're interested in, this at least gives you an idea of what those next steps are. So just like go through the whole thing and don't even actually do it. Just kind of see what those steps look like to get a feel. And then if you go into the link I shared before at the beginning in the course, it also breaks all that stuff down. It's 5 hours of content, so it is super long. So obviously pick and choose what's actually applicable to what you're curious about, but it goes much deeper in depth into these different things. So we're at the end. Thank you guys. You're awesome. Christian, appreciate you having me.
Yeah. Wait, let me just say one thing before we all leave. This is super freaking awesome and important. If you haven't been to prison or addicted to hard drugs and been into homeless shelters and lived under a bridge and almost died countless times or almost been killed countless times in prison, there is no reason why you should be making less than 20K a month. Absolutely zero. Because if Ty did it and he doesn't have a support system, he doesn't have a family, he doesn't have anybody he can call, he's literally, doing this himself, then, think about that. Like zero shame, zero guilt, but like what's the thing holding you back from making 25K a month? Because as a copywriter, you should never go below 25K a month, ever. There's just absolutely no reason not to. And so please take this seriously, put in the reps required to get what you want and what you need. And it ties a living testament that anything is possible. And so every day, he's just grateful that he's alive and that he has the opportunity to help people and do this game and make money. And so don't squander your opportunities if you had a higher start in life than Ty, take advantage of everything fully and let's do this thing together, everybody.
100%.
That's it.
Thank you, guys.
I got you all. All right. Chat soon. Mad love.
Thanks, Ty.
See you. Bye.
Bye.